Okay. Uh, Very good afternoon to everybody. I am Imran Kapadia, and I will be hosting, virtually hosting this session for everybody today. We have, as a protocol, I welcome, before I welcome everybody, I have put all of you on mute so that we don't get disturbed during the session through the background noises that happen. I have also restricted the chat. You all can ask me questions. You all can chat with me, or you all can chat with Professor Arora. You all can chat with the speaker. But I kept it a little more contained and controlled so that it's only within a closed circuit. And lastly, at the end of the session, there will be a Q&A, like how we did it last time. Most of you all have attended the session last time. We'll do a Q&A. At the time of Q&A, I would be asking questions if you all want me to ask. If you all want to ask the question, I would just request you all to put your videos on so that I can unmute you and you all can ask your questions directly to the speaker. Sharic, thank you so much for being here with us. And I can't thank you enough, because I know it is difficult times for everybody. But that one message that I sent you and the one reply that you sent me was an okay. It was very uh, appreciative, because there are about 62 of us in this room today who have all joined in, signed in to listen to your story, your journey, the insights about how to make films. And I would not go deep dive into that, but I have Professor Jitendra Arora, who is known to each one of you, and he has been he's been heading this whole Institute of Entertainment Arts for us. Uh, Jitendra, thank you for being here, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot for this, because I know that the morning I sent you a message saying that you'll have to moderate this session. I'll
No
let
problem.
you moderate this, and I'll let you take over from here.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much, Imran. So I have a colleague of mine, Kanchi Malhotra, who teaches producing and probably is more well-versed with the idea of logistics than I am. So hello, Kanchi.
Hi, hello,
Um,
hello.
so she's a partner in crime. She's a co-moderator, um, and she'll be um, with us all through. And of course, our guest, Sharic Sequeira, a young looking guy, but at the same time, very, very experienced. And experienced at what? I mean, the kind of films that you worked on, it's amazing, from student of the year one to student of the year two. So you've kind of seen Alia Bhatt and her debut, and you've seen Tiger Shroff and Tara Sutaria and Ananya Pandey's debut. So it's an amazing graph. And we are all very eager to hear you, Sharik. And if you allow me to start off, um, then I have my first question already ready for you. And it's very simple. It's like, could you please unpack the title of this webinar for us? Let me just go on to since I'm accessing this on phone. Let me just find you where you are so that I can look at your video as well. Yeah, there you are. Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, Sharik, we can hear you. Jitendra, you had a question that you started with?
I think you're on mute right now.
Sorry, I got logged out and I got muted automatically. But anyway, so my question was, if you could help us unpack the title of this webinar itself. And if I get locked out again, Kanchi, please
Yes,
please come forward and carry on the conversation, because I don't know why this is happening.
Okay.
It has already happened a couple of times. So in terms of unpacking, what does the word commercial film mean? Now, all of us intuitively know this word, but you're an insider. We'd like to know your views. And what does the logistics in relation to commercial films stand for? So as an insider, if you could please enlighten us, and then we can carry on the conversation.
Perfect. Cool. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming during this great lockdown period and hearing me out. for today is primarily all about just giving y'all an insight as to what entails into the whole process of filmmaking based on my experience and the films that I've worked on. Um, a commercial film is any film. Any film is commercial based on the kind of scale they're mounted on. Um but ideally, logistics is talking about how to go about things. It's more of a personal insight as to how I kind of got into the whole process of things, climbing the ladder, working with different people, how each department is intertwined into each other and one is helpless without the other. So it's got to do with an overall view. So I'll be asked questions, I'll answer them, and most of the questions kind of cover up all the topics in general. So yeah.
All right, great. Thank you, Sharic, for that introduction. So you said logistics logistics is related um, to how to the scale. No, that was the definition of commercial film.
Yeah.
And logistics related to how does one go about making film. So what does logistics entail? What all does it entail?
So now see, basic logistics would be your start to end of the movie. Everything that a movie sets out to do is a logistical challenge. Starting from pre-production, you get a germ that gets converted into a story that gets converted into a script that gets converted into a screenplay with dialogues. Everything is logistically intertwined. Once you have a script, or whichever production house decides to produce it, it needs to be registered. That's the first process that gets registered. Then if you have a tentative title of your movie, you need to register that. Once you're done with that, then it gets into the whole process of visualizing your movie. You get on your team like a director. The director is the main man of the ship, and he kind of needs to stir and ship the whole boat. So he gets a team in, and then that team kind of breaks it down for each and every department as to what the movie kind of happens. You have your script, you break it down into how many days of shoot you need. You break it down into how many background characters do you need, how many dancers do you want, how many locations do you want. Once all this is broken down by say initially when you're on pre-prod stage, in the first initial bit, you only get two people from the direction team. Like a director will be like, I need two people to come on board to break down the whole film for me. Once that movie is broken down, then that whole breakdown of everything from A to Z, from each and every requirement, is given to the executive producer who's on a movie. The executive producer is the main man in charge for the producer, who's handling all the finances, cracking all the deals, and he's the main producer's man, and for the director he's the main person, because that person is going to approve everything, and that person is going to help in terms of monetarily kind of bring your whole vision together. Once that whole breakdown goes to a producer, like an executive producer, he breaks down the movie. A budget is made. There is a bit of back and forth on the budget because everybody wants to save money, everybody wants to cut corners, and everybody needs to kind of work in sync. So pre-prod is that. Once the budget on the movie is sealed and final, then begins your actors' readings, your actors' tests, casting. There is location recce's. You hire a whole crew based on whoever the director approves of and matches his wavelength, from your sound designer to your editor to who the visual effects house is going to be on board for the film, who's the choreographer, who's the makeup artist, everything. Like basically you get on a whole team together, and once that is done, you get onto your principal photography stage. Usually a big movie, like the movies that I've worked on, the longest schedule I've worked on of just shooting days is around 128 123 days. That's the longest number of shooting days that I've worked on, but that was over the span of 2 years. So yeah, so basically once you're done with your shoots and you finish shooting your movie and everything, you've got a post-production stage. Post-production is as important as any other kind of stage on the film. In fact, it is something that kind of enhances your movie way more than what you had set out to do. It's got to do with edit, or it's got to do with your sound design. It's got to do with how you package your movie. At the end of the day, everybody has this zest that, yes, I want to make a movie, I want to do this, I want to be part of a movie and everything. But at the end of the day, what really matters is you need to understand that a producer is making a movie at the end of the day for returns. As much as he can be creatively a part of the movie, the main agenda of the movie at the end of the day is make a credible movie, but yet at the same time ensure that we need to make the money that we've put in. We need to make much more than that. So there are a lot of factors that go into while making a movie also that kind of changes a director's vision by the end of it, because somebody will be like, we need a song in the movie, we need to do a remix, we need to add a song in this part. Somebody comes up with a really nice story which is really meaningful, has the correct crux, has everything going for somebody who's the the metro audience, people who go to your PVRs, people who go to your Cinemax and everything. All of them will understand this movie. But the majority of our income on movies that does come through is actually at the end of the day from single screens and your smaller centers. So that's why at times there are songs that are added as commercial item pieces. There are songs that are added out of nowhere in a movie when you least expect it, and it kind of throws you off also maybe. But that is all a way of getting your audience to come and sit into that cinema and kind of watch your movie. So at the end of the day, you need to set out that if you have a vision, if you have a story, if you think it's powerful enough and everything, that's justified. But at the end of the day, you need to be kind of flexible to understand how the mindset of our country kind of works also after a point where everything is star driven also beyond a point. Like if there is a decent star cast, your movie will open bigger. If there is an okay star cast but it's got great numbers, that does great. But if you don't have a good album on your hand in terms of music, you don't have good songs that are choreographed, you don't have something that kind of stands out of the box that immediately kind of sets your fate of your, say, your first day box office that your movie is kind of going to open to. So everything needs to be pre-planned from the beginning. The way you see your movie, the way you want to see it packaged. There will be a marketing team, obviously, with all departments and everything helping you out on each and every stage. There are sponsors that come onto movies as brands. There are different brands like Jack and Jones. There are your American Tourister. There are car brands that come on board. So all these things help in promoting your movie. But at the same time, they're done for a particular reason, that it gets that much, it gets those many eyeballs to kind of see through. And yeah, then post-production is actually the most crucial stage of your film, because it entails post-production happens, but your movie is marketed, it's promoted. You've got your promos that need to be cut every week, because there needs to be one new promo that keeps on coming every week. There'll be a song that comes out. First, your trailer comes out. There's a mandatory after 5 days, you need to remove the first song out. Then second day, when you remove your promos, it's a completely different setup from your post-production of your movie. Both are working simultaneously. There is VFX that goes on your film while you're editing your movie. There's sound design that goes on your film while you're constantly editing your movie. All of that is then kind of accumulated together. Each and every department works on the movie separately. It all gets combined together based on time codes that you edit on. And they all are assembled together, brought into sync, and then yeah, your promos are out, and whenever the movie is out, the movie is out. So yeah.
So what time does it take typically to sort of, like you said, jump off an idea to the screening of the movie, or for the promos to be out? How long does it take typically for a commercial film?
So typically a commercial movie will take anywhere a year and a half in the process from the time the script is ready and approved. So once a script is ready and approved, if you have a decent sized movie, a decent sized budget, anywhere between 45 to 100 crores, um, it kind of takes a year and a half to kind of bring together, because as I said, everything is star driven in this country still. Content does work, but only content that kind of breaks through. Um, your stars are the stars within our country are always constantly busy with 2 to 3 projects, with X amount of commitments to do with their brand commitments, their travels abroad, this, that. So you kind of need to work. And when you have a multi-star movie, you kind of need to maintain dates of everyone and kind of maintain a sync and get a sync out of everyone, which gets really difficult. So there are times we shoot for 20 days, then there's a gap for like a month and a half, then again we shoot for 20 days, again there's a gap for a month and a half, shoot for 40 days, go on an outdoor location, shoot for 40 days, come back, and then you have your patch shoot based on how you see your edits and everything. So whenever you finish your 20 days of shoot, that 1 month, that month and a half that you get, your movie is getting edited and you're seeing your rushes, kind of, okay, what needs to change. Maybe you get that assessment time also. There are projects such as say an actor like Akshay Kumar, who does only one film at a time max. He's got a contractual thing in his contract always that he will only give 60 days to a movie, like 60 shooting days to a movie, and that's about it. That's why he manages to at least squeeze in 3 to 4 movies within a year, because he commits to one movie at one go. And considering the money changer that he's kind of been of late, everyone sticks to it and makes sure that the film, once it's set out to kind of shoot, they finish it off in one go. So those movies kind of get made within say 8 to 9 months. They shoot for 3 months. Within the span of 2.5 months, they finish all 60 days of shoot, and the edits are going on simultaneously while shoot's going on. And then you get 2-3 months to spend on your edit, your post-production of your film, your poster shoots, your publicity, your promo packaging, everything. So yeah, so there are people who work like that. So yeah.
Oh, excellent. So you mentioned, based on what you've said, I have a series of questions.
Yeah.
The one that I had is that once the script is ready, you bring in the director, and director probably just comes with 2 other people to sort of break down the script, to sort of create a vision, sort of visualize the film. Yeah. Who are these 2 people? It could be any of his friends, or
no, it'll be a person who he'll hire on board. Ideally, it is the chief assistant director who he'll get on board, and the chief assistant director who will get a second AD on board. So mainly the second AD is in charge of all your breakdowns. He has to supervise it or make them. It depends on how big the film is. Your second AD makes most of the breakdowns to do with number of days of shoot based on breaking down each and every scene in the movie. We need 1 day to shoot this whole scene. This day we can club in a location jump and shoot at 2 places. Scheduling that if there's a character who we're shooting in portraying as their house, then okay, fine, we shoot 4 days in the house. There are night scenes, so okay, fine, 2 days we do day, 2 days we do night. So it's basically the second AD makes that breakdown of number of days of shoot, makes a breakdown of how many actors we need, what are the supporting actors we need that are needed to be casted, what are the number of background actors do we need, the number of dancers that we need, breakdown of basically each and everything, and a breakdown for art also, that we have a house, we have a road, we have a grand palace, we have a market. Like they break down the number of locations, and with that breakdown you also kind of give an idea with referencing that this is the kind of mood board that's there for the movie, and now you create a whole palette for the movie and tell us how do we go about this whole thing. And we mention what are the key props in the movie. That can be anything like a person's particular motorbike that he rides through the movie, a particular kind of thing that's needed in the movie, whatever. So you kind of make a breakdown of each and every department, and you inform them that we need the sound designer, we need them out of 100-day shoot, we need them for around 80 days for sync sound shoot. The other 20 days we have 4 songs to shoot, so that time we don't need a sound designer on board, we need the choreographer. So it's got to do with making a whole breakdown.
So this guy, are you suggesting the second AD single-handedly does all of this for a 110-page script? Or...
Yeah, for me, ideally for me, the way I kind of function is I like working with lesser people. So because I just feel like within lesser people, confusion doesn't get created as much. The minute I've worked on movies where there have been like 10 ADs at a time, there have been 11 ADs at a time. There are movies that I've worked where there have been just like 4 ADs in total. So based on that, what my personal liking honestly is that I like lesser people, because confusion is lesser, efficiency is more, and people are more in sync in that way to do with the film and more up to date with it. So you have, like, once the first AD and the second AD up on board, it takes about, say, 10 to 15 days to make a breakdown for each and every department.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then obviously once that breakdown is given, the executive producer kind of he already has an approximate budget that he's made based on what he's read. But after he gets like a Bible from the direction team that this is each and every department's breakdown, he gets a clearer picture also that how much is the budget for him. Once all of that is approved, then you get a whole AD team on board. You get a second AD whose main job is handling costumes and the actors on set, making sure that they get ready on time, whatever their costume breakdowns are. Today they need to wear this. This is from that particular scene, but over here it's in continuity, even though we're shooting on another particular day. So yeah, it's all of that. And you get a costume person, you get a person who'll handle background, you'll get a person then to further enhance your breakdowns. You'll ask everyone to gather a reference for the movie that you can keep on sending and showing it to the director, that okay, if he likes anything in particular, we can keep sharing it with the production designer simultaneously. And then obviously you have your group meetings where finally everyone comes together, with all HODs from your director of photography, your production designer, your sound designer, your editor. You have like an accumulative meeting with them to kind of narrate the whole script with everyone out there. That once it's different when you read something and when a director kind of narrates it, you kind of understand, okay, what his vision might be, or you kind of understand what his emotion is, even though you might not get it while you're reading it. So that's why we do usually a round of narrations with all HOD departments together, that everyone kind of just understands that, okay, this is what the movie is about. And yeah, then they start visualizing it and deciding things for their head. For example, if it's an action movie, a sound designer might get kicked and be like, okay, fine, I need to kind of get in tune with my action skills again and kind of reference what can we do different for this movie. Costume designers start that, okay, what different can we do for this particular movie? So it kind of works for like it. That's the way it kind of goes about until we get on the show.
So this second AD who's doing the entire breakdown is really important in this entire scheme of things. Of course, there's a director and the chief assistant director to guide him, to help him and all of that. But the entire onus is of the first level of breakdown is with him until the HODs are brought in.
So
right?
Yeah, so he needs to make all the breakdowns. The chief AD approves everything that he does.
And then the director.
That's kind of, once the second AD kind of makes his breakdowns and everything, obviously in sync with the chief assistant director, even he'll be helping him out, going like every day, checking what he's up to, how, like checking his breakdowns, his Excel sheets, his movie magic software, how he's making the breakdowns, everything. So that supervision will remain. So yeah.
Oh, excellent. I really didn't know that. And then you also mentioned first AD in between. Now, what's the difference between a second AD and a first AD, and how are these?
So how it
Um,
works in the movies I have done is that at times there is a chief AD and then directly there's a second AD. There's no first AD. Chief AD, first AD is kind of the same in how we work in our industry. So it's
okay,
basically first and chief kind of works as the same.
okay,
There are at times on movies where you have an associate director and you have a chief AD as well, where the associate director is basically involved more creatively rather than paying attention more to say the logistics and how things are being done by production and how the like the it's not too mechanical for the associate director. He needs to be more in sync with the director to kind
okay.
of then inform the direction team that okay, this needs to be done, or this has changed, that's going to happen now. Keep them up to date, kind of, because the director doesn't want to deal with the whole team, so he'll get an associate director on board to kind of just like streamline that further.
Excellent. So when we hear, and this is sort of a scoop kind of a question, when we hear that a certain Ranveer Kapoor had assisted on a certain film before he did Savaria, or a Sonam Kapoor had assisted so and so director, what were they exactly doing when they've assisted? Like, what
So
could they have been doing?
no, so the good thing is that see, whenever these people do join movies, um, they are known for who they are, yes, but they're treated like a normal direction team. They never, whenever they come on board, they cannot come on board as a second AD or a second AD
Yeah,
unless they've worked a lot and they have that experience and they're serious about it.
right.
But whenever they do come to get an insight as an overview for a, like they work on one movie or two movies to just kind of fathom and gauge how everything kind of comes to life. They get to observe how actors work. They get to observe what the director wants. There's no doubt that they help also in the direction team to make the movie. They'll be handling background actors, they'll be handling dancers, they'll be ensuring all the dancers are getting ready on time, placing people around, running from one corner to another, maybe doing a roadblock because we're shooting on a street and we need to stop traffic. So coordinate with the sync sound security people who are on location and kind of tell them. So everyone helps in that way. So whenever these kids, these star kids or whoever people they do end up coming on a movie, they always they're treated the same, and they do end up like working and running around because that's the job, and they know that, and no director or producer will kind of spare them that at all. Like that
Oh,
all
that.
is later on. Like we can be
Hmm.
family friends, we can be acquaintances, I know your parents, whatever it is, that's all separate. When on shoot, I've seen directors, I've seen producers like even scream, shout, whatever, when they have their way of moving their frustrations. They've been very biased towards everyone. So yeah.
Oh, excellent. The other question that I had was, again, in the line of questions that I'd written down when you were explaining this, was that you had mentioned executive producer, and then you said the producers also putting in money. Now, for my students, what's the difference between a producer who's putting in money and an executive producer who's preparing the budget and then probably also managing it?
Okay, so
Because both are kind of called producers.
yeah. So, see, a producer is basically, now, for example, from where I've worked, a producer is, say, Karan Johar, and we have a person called Apurva Mehta also, who's the co-producer, who's the CEO of the company as well. So they are the people who kind of get the investors, who get the loan from the banks and everywhere, and they kind of accumulate the funds for the movie. There can be another production house on board that's presenting the movie, that might be budgeting, that must be funding the movie, like a Fox, or it can be a co-production with a Balaji, or it can be a co-production with a Red Chilies. So the producer's job is basically, once the executive producer gives them the budget, that this is the budget that we need for the movie, they go out there, they speak to the banks, they speak to a Fox, they speak to their co-producers, and then they are the ones who lock the budget with those people. The other people might do a bit of back and forth saying that, no, this is too expensive. No, we need to cut corners somewhere. We can't be spending and fleshing out so much. So they have those conversations internally, keeping the executive producer in sync with the whole process as well, and informing him that you need to speak to the director now, ask him to cut corners somewhere, or speak to the direction team, ask where they can reduce, speak to the chief AD and see where they can reduce if something can happen. So that's what the producer does. The EP, once the budget is sealed, it's the EP's piggy bank, and he needs to use that and kind of spend for the movie. And if he saves, great. If he doesn't save, then that's a problem. There are times where movies do go over budget, and it happens plenty. But it's the executive producer who kind of handles that whole money. The producer is kept just on point with everything that's happening once in a week or in a daily basis, however he wants to be involved. So yeah.
So I just wanted to understand that it's actually right to use the word producer for someone who's actually arranging the finances.
No, it's executive producer. If you go on in the West, in Hollywood and other places like around the world and everything, an executive producer's title is way more vital and way more top in the hierarchy rather than a producer as well.
Okay. But over here, like you said, Karan Johar would be a producer and Apurva Mehta is a co-producer, and then they would hire an executive producer who then works with that amount of money and make sure that the film is kind of produced within that amount, within that budget.
Yes.
All right. Great. Excellent. Kachi, do you have any question?
Yes, I was trying to chime in. I wanted to, you mentioned Movie Magic software, so I am sort of aware of that. But I wanted you to maybe tell everybody what are the kind of softwares that you use? How do you, making a breakdown doesn't seem like an easy task. What all do you use to help you in organizing these breakdowns and planning your shoots and things like that?
Okay, so for screenplay and scripts, we use Final Draft. That's a standard software that everyone uses. In case y'all don't want to purchase a Final Draft, there's a software called Celtex also that kind of works in that way, but we use Final Draft usually. We use Excel for our budget breakdowns. We use Excel for our other breakdowns also for all departments, in terms of which have got more to do with numbers of like how many dancers do we need on this particular day, how many background people we need on this particular day. We use Keynote mainly for creating our mood boards for the film to send out to each and every department, that they get an idea. This is how we see the movie. We use only Movie Magic scheduling. We don't use Movie Magic budgeting at all out here in Bollywood. Like, nobody uses budgeting. We only use Movie Magic scheduling.
Okay.
And it's basically Movie Magic scheduling thing is the most important software out of the lot, basically, because that gets circulated the most after all.
Okay. Is there a reason why we don't use the budgeting software? Just because we've been using Excel all along and it works for us? Is that?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I was well versed with the budgeting software as well, but nobody uses it at all. Everyone just uses the scheduling part, not the budgeting part.
Okay.
But they use the budgeting part in the West. They only use what you call Excels out here.
Correct. Okay. Got it. Thank you. Another question. So I think here, as you mentioned, that an executive producer might not be the most important creative voice during the shoot or during the life cycle of a film. The director is more of that person here. So what are the technical know-hows that a director should, like? So sometimes we've heard interviews where a director like Vishal Bharadwaj, was heavily involved with the music of his film. Somebody like a Sanjay Leela Bansali would also be involved heavily in music because that's his interest and he's inclined towards that. But for someone to be a good director, what are the basics that they need to have in place, right?
Okay. So see, at the end of the day, for a director, honestly, the person might not have to gel with everyone, but at the end of the day, you need to do what you do with conviction and confidence that everyone has that faith in you and they want to invest that time and energy making the movie with you.
Right.
a Sanjay Leela Ban. There are directors who are not the fun kind. They're more technical. They are strict in terms of, no, this is the way we make movies. I want this sort of decorum on set. It's not that laxed. It's not that easy. There are directors who are like, let's make this a fun journey. Let's make this a fun experience and memory while we make this movie. So there are different sorts of people like that. At the end of the day, for a person, honestly, you need to know what you want to create, because if you come out aloof, if somebody asks you, okay, how do you see this scene? You can't just tell them that, you can't be vague about what you're doing, because then other people will kind of drive your movie. There's no harm in asking for advice to somebody, saying that, how should I go about this? Or what are your thoughts on this? But you yourself need to have some sort of idea in your head, what you're set out to make. If you reach a location and you're breaking down a scene with the actors and marking it on set, you need to be confident. You need to have that conviction that everyone gets invested in you to kind of go about the same way as you're thinking. So that's very important. You need to know your accesses, like your whatever in like direction. It's a little confusing at times. Took me a lot of time to get a hang of it, because everyone just cheats left, right, this, that. Even if it matches, it doesn't match. So it took me some time to kind of get a hold on all of that. But it is very important, because it opens up your mind to a lot of things once you kind of get in sync with it.
Okay. So you're saying that even if as a director, you're not 100% aware of what the technology is, what the skills are, as long as you are able to communicate with your head of departments, that should suffice, right? That this is what I want. Can you?
Yeah, this is what I want. And see, the thing is, everyone is, at least nowadays, you can't just swing it in a way where you're like, I'll reach on set and I'll break it down there.
Okay.
There is a lot of competition. There are a lot of people who are getting opportunities now due to digital platforms and OTT platforms, your Netflix, your Hotstar, your Amazon. Everyone's getting opportunities to make things. They are giving that sort of budget, that a mid-size movie budget of like a 30 crores that your Netflix gives now to make just a normal Netflix movie. So everyone knows that there's a lot of competition. So everybody needs to be a little more well-versed and kind of on the ball with at least knowing what you want to do, and obviously know what your skills are. You don't have to know what your camera shutter speed needs to be, or let's open if your thing is in focus. Not that's all your DOP's job, yes, but you as a director, what you see, you need to speak it out, that everyone else can kind of assemble that for you and they get the idea. You can't be like, I just want a shot like two people over here. No, you need to specify that, okay, I'm looking at a mid shot, just a little below the chest. I don't want it, I want it to be out of focus in the beginning, then it comes into focus, whatever. Like, you need to kind of be out there and be like, okay, fine, and tell them that, okay, no, this scene, like, I just want it to be one particular shot and a slow track just going in from start to end. That's my scene. I want to create a sort of tension with it. I want to create a sort of mood in it where everything is kind of stuck together and slow, and this is all about them. So you need to have that treatment in your head, and you need to kind of be able to translate that with the way you kind of speak as well.
That's interesting.
Cool. So would it be possible for you to take us through a film that's close to your heart, that you worked in different capacities on, and sort of illustrate everything that you've told us, or some parts of it that you've told us, maybe the challenges that you faced, or...
Sure. So the first movie that I started on was Student of the Year 1. I joined in as a production intern. I did that movie until it was released, yes. Simultaneously, while Student of the Year was going on, I was put on this movie called Ek Mein Aur Ek Tu as well. So I was working simultaneously on that movie as well, because I was understanding it was a more hectic shoot because it was all outdoors in Mumbai, like on the streets, a particular commercial restaurant, some location in Mud Island, some location out in South Bombay. We need a rooftop, we need to shoot at Marine Drive, we need to shoot at a Parsi colony. So it was very extensive right in the beginning, because it was like within the span of a month, we shot for like 22 days back to back out there. So it was pretty, it was great for me to kind of just get first-hand experience that, okay, this is how you go about live production in terms, live shoots. See, the thing is that it never gets easy, no matter which position you start off with and where you end. It's never easy. In fact, it keeps getting more challenging, and it keeps getting, you're more responsible for things. I thought when I joined my first movie, I was doing a lot. It was getting taxing, but I had the drive where I was like, no, I want to continue to work. It gives me a certain sort of rush to kind of, be part of something that comes to life. So, yeah, the thing is, it keeps getting, the more you grow on your hierarchy ladder of wherever you want to be and until wherever you reach, it keeps getting difficult because it's true. Like, I mean, you keep learning as life goes. The second thing is that it never gets easier because you're more responsible when you're on a higher position rather than you starting off. So that is one thing, that it never gets easier. And the other thing is that you cannot there are times where it'll take your whole life. Like, I mean, you won't have like time to sleep, you won't have time to brush, you won't have time to shower, you won't have a family life, you won't have a relationship going on steady. It's like a movie process gets very taxing. So the thing is, that's the best that I can kind of tell you in terms of my growth as a person right now. But in terms of within my titles and positions growing in a company like Dharma, or in terms of my work profile, is basically whatever you do, be confident about it. That's one. Never fail to agree when you've done a mistake, or you don't understand something, or you don't know how to go about something, even though it might be something really stupid. Never act like you know it all, but be confident at the same time when you do something. There needs to be a certain decorum that you need to maintain when you work on a movie until you reach the position where you need to kind of reach in life. It's very important because when you work on a movie, there are a lot of people who have egos. A lot of people. There are a lot of people who are very irritable because they've done this for the last 10 years. They've done it for the last 15 years. They've done it for the last 20 years and it gets taxing because every day when you're on a shoot, there are like 200 people together over there and you're handling all that mess. There are 200 people. You have your actors. Then there are HODs of each department. There is your cameraman, there is your director, there is your sound recordist, there is your executive producer. Everyone has like an ego out there. So never try to step boundaries, never try to kind of, basically the thing is like take humility as it comes and don't kind of get into this whole zone that you're wrong, I'm right, until it's something like really drastic, like Me Too kind of situation, or like somebody hits you or something, like, I mean, that way. But if somebody abuses at you, you can't turn around and just be like, how can you like, like scream at me and shout at me in front of a whole crew and everything. Nobody wants to hear that, because everybody knows that there are X amount of people in the world who are dying for an opportunity to kind of grow their ladder and hone their skills. And thankfully nowadays people have become a little more at least like everyone has become a little more observant of the fact that you need to kind of portray yourself properly. Let it be like whoever, like an actor, director, whoever. You can't just like take so many things for granted. So thankfully that whole shift has happened where nobody's going to scream at you for no use unless it's your fault. But at the end of the day, you need to take it in your stride and not go on a high horse at all, for sure. Always be humble. you'll be asked to do the weirdest things. You'll get onto a movie as an intern. If you're a direction intern, somebody, if you're in an outdoor location, somebody might tell you that, some actor might tell you that, oh, I've got my period today. Please run and get me like a packet of pads. You'll have to go and do it. Like, you can't be like, no, this is not my job. And you can't even make fun about it and go and make this a conversation amongst other people, because like everyone just gets to know about it. It's like, this is what I've gone through. It'll be as simple as there'll be vanity vans that are there on set and everything. Some person will come and tell you that the bathroom is not working. You have to go and speak to the vanity van guy and tell him, please go and like flush out all the junk that's there in the vanity van of everyone. Go on the side and ask them. You need to make sure that everything is done. So you start from the lowest of things possible. Catering, people complaining about food. The food on set is not good. You need to speak to the caterer, make sure the food is better the next day. You need to set a menu for catering for the crew every day. Food is what keeps people happy. That keeps people motivated running on set. You need to, so there are a lot of things. The thing is, you need to kind of treat a movie like how you would want to be treated, but at the same time, you're not getting treated that way. It's a thankless job, and you kind of need to go with that approach, and you cannot have an ego about it until you've reached somewhere to have an ego. Because at the end of the day, you need this more than anyone else needing this more. So that's how it is.
Okay, you spoke about life on set, how the job can be thankless, how it's hard, how it's taxing. Can you tell us, just describe for us a typical day on set, right? If it's a 9 a.m. shoot, when do you get on set? How do you start? Just talk us through the day.
Okay, so I'm going to start with, say, the most extensive thing, if there needs to be there. We're shooting a song. Songs are always pretty extensive, because there are days where a set consists of around 700, 800 people at one go. Right. Because of your dancers, your background, you need to create that hype, everyone jump, everyone do this, everyone do that. So if it's a 9 o'clock shift for the crew to arrive, we ideally keep a 7 a.m. shift for the dancers, because it takes them 2 to 3 hours to get ready. So you start the AD team comes in early. They're there from 7 a.m. ensuring all the dancers get ready on time. It's fun on set. I mean, I'm talking more about all the technicalities and everything, but there is a lot of fun on set once you start doing your job and you get a hang of it and you start enjoying it as well. The best feeling that you're going to have is you being responsible for something and people depending on you and you delivering on that. It always feels great. So you're always on your feet on the set. You're making sure dancers are getting ready. They come on set, the choreographer blocks it. You start shooting it from different angles. Your actors come on board. They start getting ready. You have a short breakdown that today we are going to cover this particular part of the song. You have your lunch break. Then if there's a costume change in the song, the actors change their costumes. You shoot the song, some other part of the song from whichever different angles you want. If it's a set song, you make the set like well in advance. It takes around, on an average, anywhere between 10 to 20 days to make like a big set for a song. So yeah, I mean, see, shoot days are fairly whatever you set out to go to do, but on a good shooting day, it's let's just say your Fitbit will have at least like 15 to 16,000 steps on an average.
Okay.
That's awesome. Now, my question was, you started as a production intern.
Yeah.
Did you go through a film school before that?
Yeah, I did go through a film school in Bombay itself. I did that for 2 years, and before graduated, I started looking for work.
And did the school prepare you for the kind of experience that you had on Ek Mein Ek Tu?
See, what I learned in film school, in comparison to that, practically working on a real film, there was a lot of difference, because obviously it's done on a way higher scale. It's done on a different level. Like, I'm talking based on like the movies I've done.
Yeah.
So it was completely not, see, the theory part of it that needs to be filmmaking, that all was obviously given.
Important.
I thought film
Yeah.
school was a decent backing because I didn't know XYZ of filmmaking at all. I just knew that, okay, I want to be a part of it in some capacity. I don't know what my calling is. I don't know if it's production. I don't know if it's direction, but I want to just join it to kind of understand what kind of goes into the whole process. So I did that. And I think it gave me a good enough backing that I knew that, okay, fine, what a scene is, or say this kind of equipment is going to be used today. We are going to track in. We need a steady cam. We need a wipe to camera. We need to. So basically, like film school kind of just makes you a little more alert of the technicalities that get into filmmaking. Obviously, on-hand experience is completely different, but I think it's very advisable to do a course in filmmaking, that you're not aloof and you're serious about what you want to do. There are a lot of people who can't afford film schools and everything, who keep coming looking for opportunities and jobs, and somehow through someone they get your number, this and that, they get in touch and everything. My only thing to them is that if you are very passionate about it, if it's something that you want to crack, then everything is available on a Google nowadays. Everything is tech savvy. Everything has information available like to infinity. So just read about it, but just don't come and be like, I want to be a part of films. That doesn't cut it. You need to, it's as good as you going, somebody wanting to become a neurosurgeon, but you have not read or done any 5 years, 6 years of your theory, practicals, whatever, your getting an internship in a hospital, whatever, but you just want to be a neurosurgeon. It's as simple as that. It's a field of entertainment, but at the end of the day, entertainment is also a medium for a lot of people in terms of work. So it is an occupation at the end of the day. So it's not like you can just like come in here and be like, I want to get into this.
Yeah, and it's also very.
I think he's stuck.
Yeah. Okay, we'll wait for him to come back. I got a few questions from people while you were talking to us about the life on set and how you started off as a production intern.
Yeah.
So somebody wants to know how did you get in touch with Dharma, or how can they go about, as somebody who has no connection, somebody who wouldn't know anybody in the film business, how do you sort of start on this process? Because it can be very intimidating trying to find your way in.
Yeah, so I 6 months before graduating from whatever the diploma course that I joined for, I started looking for work. I went on IMDb, and I knew that I wanted to join production because I'd taken production as my specialization in film school. So I started looking up at all the banners from your Yash Raj. At that point, there was UTV, Eros, Dharma, uh, Vishesh Films, all like Balaji, all these people. I started looking on IMDb, whoever are, say, production managers, executive producers, line producers, whoever these people are. And I started just looking for them online in terms of a contact number, an email ID, whatever it is. Yeah, I just sent all of them my CV. Whoever responded back to me, I kind of went and met them. I had to follow through a couple of times, this, that. And thankfully, I got into Dharma as an intern. And yeah, that's how it happened for me. It can be very taxing also to kind of get through. That is true. But at the end of the day, it's how you approach somebody. It's about how you message someone, how you email someone. If you get somebody's number, you message them, it cannot seem casual. You can't write, hi bro. You can't write, hey buddy. You can't like get into that whole zone, because these people will, like, you need to sound professional. At the end of the day, there are a lot of times people forget that this is a professional job too. Like, regardless of how fascinating the whole world can be, and consuming it can be, at the end of the day, it is a professional job. So it's how you kind of portray yourself the first time, and how you sound also in your approach. That whatever, if you're approaching a guy, or if you're approaching a girl, hey ma'am, hey sir, dear, whatever. Like, I mean, just sound as professional as, like, it's like if you would go for a corporate job, how would you talk? You're not going to talk like, please, I love movies, give me an opportunity, I need this. You don't have to do all of that, because that happens plenty. Just sound confident that I want to like, just be like, based on my merits, you can judge me on a trial, and if you're happy with my consistency and performance, then we can take it forward. So please do consider giving me an opportunity, because I think I can be of value. Like, sound like that. You cannot be like, I really love films, I really want to work with Dharma, I really want to work with Yash Raj, I've always dreamed of. Nobody wants to know about your dreams because they've never met you. It's as simple as, it's, you're talking to a stranger. Just be as professional as you can. Then the person feels like, okay, we have an opening, we need helpers, we need people. Okay, this person sounds professional, this person sounds right, it's to the point, it's not like deviating from left, right, and all of that. You don't have to write, dear sir, firstly, let me thank you for this opportunity. No, you don't have to thank anyone, because they've still not done anything for you. So just be in that headspace. Don't underplay it, and don't overplay it also. It's as simple as that.
But when they were giving you this internship, so finally probably you reached a Dharma sort of person, and they probably called you for interview.
Yeah.
Did you have a resume to send? What all did you include in your resume? Because
so before the meeting happened, I sent them my resume. I told them that I don't have any experience like on a movie, but based on whatever I've learned on film school, I've been equipped with the movie magic software. I know the different stages of whatever is there, whatever they've taught. Basically, I just basically mentioned that this is my schooling information, that I've done this much, what I specialized in school in. I didn't give a whole history of my I won this championship, this sports competition, and all of that. No. And then I wrote what all softwares I'm well versed with, and just basically on a side column wrote what I thought my strengths were. And that's about it. That's what I attached on my CV. It was a simple one-pager CV. That's about it.
Absolutely. And did you also have a portfolio? Like, what kind of a portfolio would a producing student have? Like, do they ask for your work that you've done?
No, so they asked me that, okay, for example, if you've done in film school, you have done whatever, like a mise en scene of like 3 minutes, or you've done like a short film of like 5 minutes, or you've done like your diploma film that is for 20 minutes. Okay, where did you, what vendors did you go to? Okay, what camera did you shoot on? What equipments did you use? So they want to know. They'll ask you stuff like that, because let it be the smallest prop shop in Bombay, no matter what it is, like an executive producer or the line producer who's on the movie, or a production manager will know that, okay, fine, this person knows, okay, that because you need to be kind of aware of what you've made also. So they'll ask you, okay, which camera did you shoot on? Was it a film camera? Was it a digital camera? Was it what all equipments did you use? Did you use track and trolley? Did you use dolly? Did you use steady cam in it? So all those questions kind of pop up, and they ask you basically like, what all have you used? So you then sound like, okay, fine, you've been part of the process. You've not done it on the scale that it needs to be done on, but you know your grammar a bit.
So that's good to know, because education is respected, or at least acknowledged.
Yeah, it is. I mean, see, my interview lasted for 5 minutes, and within that 5 minutes, I was asked certain questions about vendors, filmmaking, what do you want to do, and what is your final goal, and that's about it. And you're out of there. It's like a 5 to 10 minutes meeting max. So yeah,
cool. So and how did they judge your professional qualities? Like, they obviously judged your the fact that you knew a particular software, that you had worked on certain productions, even though small scale.
Yeah.
But how does one judge the work ethics and the professionalism that one carries? Because apparently from all the description that you gave us, it's very, very important that the quality.
It's very important because firstly, as I said, I was completely unaware of filmmaking and the technicalities or whatever that gets into it and everything. So when given an opportunity, I was like, I need to do it to the best of my capabilities and capacity and my mental strength. And so my simple thing is, you you need to present yourself in a way that people want to work with you and depend on you more. Because you will start, see, my first job on the movie as soon as I joined was to take care of catering. We started Student of the Year's shooting. The shooting began with the song Radha. That's the first day of shoot that happened. My job was primarily ensure catering and everyone is happy in terms of for 700 people. If your HODs are happy with the food that comes in, your dancers are happy, there are no complaints. Then once that was done, I was keeping people happy in terms of the line producer or the production manager was happy, saying that, and I'm not reporting to the executive producer. I'm just doing the meeting. And my first interview is with the EP. If that EP is fine, then I'm handed over to a lower person like a line producer or a production manager on board as their helper. So then catering is good. Okay, fine. Now you start taking care of how we set base. Base is basically a common term we use for a holding area for people. Where will the dancers get ready? What is their space? What is their section for their lunch, breakfast, evening snack? Then slowly, okay, get in charge. So you get in charge of base. Okay, your vanity van, check in if everything is fine in the vanity vans. Tissue papers are there properly. In the toilet, liquid soap has been put, because vanity vans keep changing every day because the vendors are different. All of that. So basically, slowly, you grow, and you need to take it and not be like, this is beneath me. Like, I've never even checked if there's bathroom soap in my bathroom. Like, why do I have to do it here? You can't have that mentality. You are here trying to serve everyone that they are happy with you. Slowly, then you get involved in higher and more tedious things to do with planning the shoot. That we should, going and scouting a location and understanding the do's and don'ts of a location and conveying that to the direction team and telling them that we cannot enter a location before 7 a.m. in the morning. You slowly, so that's how you grow. Like, it starts off with the smallest thing as you taking care of catering. Then I was taken on an outdoor location where we were shooting in Dehradun and Mussoorie. Then I was put in charge of, I had catering on my hand, I had base on my hand, and I was in charge of transportation, making sure like the 30 cars that were there and like 5-6 buses that were there, all of them reach on time. They're going back and forth, ensuring, okay, today we have a song, Vaibhavi Merchant is landing. We need to send her a car to the airport. Okay, her pickup is at that time. You're basically the transport manager in sort of way with the local transport manager over there, assigning cars, checking out flights, talking to travel agents, booking flights, booking trains for your background people, your dancers, this, that. So it keeps getting bigger until you kind of deliver on everything. Then people will be like, okay, fine, you are well and good enough to kind of take a bump on the next movie.
So, so when students are choosing, say, film production and maybe a specialization or any other career, we kind of know that our studious people go for medicine or engineering, or people with sort of good calculation skills might go and take up accounting and stuff.
Yeah.
How does one judge whether they are cut out for this kind of a field and maybe this kind of a specialization as well?
If they're doing it because they actually want to work and make a living in it, that's the approach. If they want to work in films, for films, because they love movies, I think that's not the right approach. At the end of the day, you need to understand that, yes, it's good to be part of something big. It's good to be recognized, but that all is secondary. Your main agenda needs to be to work. You want to work in it to make a living and a livelihood in it. You cannot go with the approach that I'm choosing this occupation because it seems fun. It's sounding fun. I'm going to have fun. It'll be fun looking at actors. No, it's tedious, and it's really, really hard on a film set. It's a lot of fun, no doubt. I'm not going to deny that. But to be able to have that fun with the right people you want to have fun with, and kind of feel happy in the space that you are in terms of how you've grown, how well you're recognized, the appreciation you get and everything, you really need to like pull up your sock and like kind of work really hard towards it.
No, that's wonderful to know, because I mean, this is an example that I also gave a lot of aspirants. It's like eating pizza is one thing, and standing near a furnace and making it is another.
Yeah.
A lot of people who are kind of captivated by the glamour of it need to understand that behind the scenes is grueling, and at the same time rewarding, because when sort of millions of people laugh and cry with how the story is being told, that brings an unparalleled joy.
Yeah.
And has that happened with you? With all the films that you worked on have been big successes. So tell us the rewarding parts of we've talked about the struggle, and I'm sure it's real.
So the thing with me is, honestly, thankfully, and touch wood, what I am really happy about is that I've never been sort of say starstruck or anything of that sort. For me, I wasn't even like I was born and brought up in Dubai. I was there for 16 years, and then I came down here and did 2 years of film school and then started working. So I've never been starstruck in general. So for me, honestly, the reason to work in movies is because I enjoyed watching movies. Like growing up, I enjoyed watching Bollywood movies. I enjoyed thoroughly renting VHS tapes, renting DVDs from your rental places, and just coming home and like watching movies. That was one thing I really loved doing growing up. So when asked what I want to do with my life, like that's the only thing I could kind of resonate to. So I came with the approach that I want to crack working and trying to make and be a part of a movie. So that was my main agenda. The rewarding part, what I really like about the whole process is that how each department, there are X amount of departments, and how everyone kind of works to kind of bring one product together, and it's so widely spread out each and every department, and how everything kind of then gets assembled and put into one thing, like something that's so magnanimous. That is the most exciting part for me, to see all of that kind of come to life. So that's the most rewarding and the most fun part for me. I honestly don't care about the result of the movies that I've worked on. For me, it's mainly I am working towards someone else's vision and delivering that as per how they want it, whatever they see it as. And I'll do the best that I can in my capacity to make sure that that person is happy with what they get. So I will never enforce what I think. I will give my opinions, but I never enforce or try to step boundaries when I know that it's not my place. So and the most rewarding part is that it's always been a growth after every movie with everything. So that's like the best part for
me. Right. Kanchi, do you have any questions at
I
this
have
point?
some questions from people which I thought I'll ask. You told us about a lot of glamorous and non-glamorous parts of making a film. Someone wants to know that, do you have any story or an anecdote where you really had to sort of step in the last minute to save the day from a production point of view? Because I imagine that so many people are involved in it, things are bound to go wrong.
Yeah, so there are a lot of factors that kind of can ruin a shoot. Your actor falls sick. There's a whole set standing over there until the person recovers. Thankfully, insurance covers it. Set can catch fire one particular day. day a generator can conk off and the whole shoot and set is just standing over there waiting for a generator to arrive to light everything back up. Yeah, there are, like, I mean, there'll be that one particular day where the stupidest thing can kind of like just stop your shoot. As simple as that, we need to move this particular car from the middle of the road. We had informed this before when we came and we saw the location and scouted. He mentioned we need this particular area empty. I've had days where the whole crew has come on set, the director is unhappy and he's just said, pack up, leave. So, yeah.
Oh.
Interesting. Cool.
So Jitendra, are we, before we open it out for
Yeah.
Q&A from the audience, do we have any more questions from our side, or because I have a few questions?
Yes, please ask Imran. Yes.
Okay. I have one question, if I can go, and then maybe Imran, you can, and we can open. So because it's a perfect segue, because you mentioned working with directors and different directors. Does your role as somebody who's part of the direction team or who's a production assistant, associate, does it change from set to set? Does it vary from director to director, or the roles are pretty set in what they are?
See, at the end of the day, you need to realize the person you're particularly working for.
Right.
Yeah, like whoever it be. Like for me, when I joined as a production intern, I was working for a production manager who was on top of me. I had to report to him. He had to give me my tasks. You need to understand that you need to work according to the person who's above you, who you are answerable to. You need to work according to the way they want. You need to understand their mindset. You need to understand what they like, what they don't like. The same thing with a director. Whoever is on top of you, basically, whoever you're answerable to. For example, in an AD team, if I am the first AD and there is an intern who's come, or a second AD, the second AD is answerable to me. He is not answerable to the director at all.
Okay.
So you need to understand that the main person who will be backing you up, who will be rooting for you at whichever stage in your life or wherever you are, is that one person who you are answerable to. So you need to really work according to their mindset, how they think, and all of that. Like basically, you need to be like their personal assistant until you get a bump to your next position.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Cool.
Imran?
I think so. So we've known each other for some time, right?
Yes.
I think it's been about 2000. Student of the year. You were working on the first one.
Yeah.
We got connected. From then to now, I think it's been a tremendous journey. The first time I got to hear so much about work, right?
Yeah.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have a series of questions.
Okay.
Taking a leaf out of the Dharma production. Because you're a and we don't complete this session without a rapid fire.
Okay.
So too much time to think. You gotta answer quick.
Okay.
This is all about you and your work.
Okay.
Yeah? Best film that you worked on?
Student of the year 1. Experience-wise.
Best director you worked with?
Karan Johar.
Best actor to work with?
Sorry, I honestly had a lot of fun with the cast on Student of the Year 2.
2?
Yeah.
Toughest time of work life?
When I did a movie called Brothers. It was crazy. It was madness. I thought it was war.
Yeah. Best location?
Best location, Ae Dil Hai Mushkil, London, Paris, and Austria.
Brilliant movie also to watch. SOTY 1 or 2?
SOTY 1.
Writing, production, or directing?
Writing, wanting to direct, eventually wanting to produce as well. That's the aim.
Okay. Difference between the Sharic of 2010 and the Sharic of 2020?
I think the only difference is maybe in titles. I'm pretty much the same. But yeah, I've got a certain ego now in comparison to what I was in 2010 for sure. Like my tolerance for bullshit is 0 at this point of time in life. But yeah, I mean, that's the only difference. Otherwise, I mean, I still my ground for everything remains the same as what I've spoken about today.
No. So this is now future, right?
Mhm.
We have assuming that growth is happening constantly, and inshallah it will happen.
Yeah.
You've written a film. You're ready with a script. You've written a film. You've got the production team on board. Who's your hero?
So, like what I'm doing currently.
Yeah.
So currently, I am writing 2-3 things simultaneously. But in terms of it materializing, I don't know as yet, because this great virus has come and kind of screwed everyone over royally. It's the thing is, I have material ready that I've worked on over a year right now. But the thing is, it's going to take some time to materialize, because post this virus, I mean, the shop isn't going to open for another like 4-5 months easy.
The film set here is it's a dream sequence. You have a film ready. You have a choice. Who's your hero?
My hero,
Who would cast as a hero?
as a hero. So the thing is, I like working with people who are not too out there, but at the end of the day will help me kind of pull in a commercial audience aspect together. So for me, honestly, currently it would be from the newer lot. It's this Sarha, Siddhant Chaturvedi, Ananya. These are the people who I kind of think will be like a bit of game changers in a certain
You
way.
answered my 2 questions. The next one was who would be your heroine? Who would be the hero's mom?
Hero's mom. For that, I'm very bad with casting, and that's what I'm saying. Now, I'm not starstruck at all. So I honestly, whenever I've worked on a movie, I've honestly done my job, and literally, like, I mean, I don't remember so many people or anything at all. For me, it's very
You
technical.
don't usually, like, for example, if somebody asked me, because the cinema that I grew up, I would say Rima Lagu, right? Or
Yeah,
maybe
see, I know who Rima Lagu is, but that like image wouldn't come into my head at all. I'll just be like, hero's dad.
Hero's dad.
Uh,
It's like, for example, for me, it's Amrish Puri. Ja Simran Ja Ji Apni Zindagi.
I don't know at all. Maybe like a Pankaj Tripathi or something like that right now.
Bad guy of the movie.
Huh?
The bad guy of the movie.
Bad guy of the movie, I think. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I honestly don't have these answers,
You're
because
definitely not casting your film. You're only writing and directing.
I'm writing it, and then casting is like I'll be giving a brief that this is what the characters are. Now suggest and put like a people list together that, okay, if it kind of resonates with me in certain way, then we'll approach them.
One film you feel that you should have been a part of. That one film that you feel that this is one film that I should have had been a part.
So the thing is, I've heard great things about Excel. So I really would have enjoyed being a part of like Luck by Chance, or like any of Zoya's movies, basically.
And this is the last one. The one actor that you would want to work with, whom you haven't worked with yet.
Who I haven't worked with Ranveer Singh as yet, so maybe him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super. Guys, I'm done with my rapid fire.
No, but wait, you have to give him a hamper now.
Of course, I will.
Oh, we have a virtual hamper also.
I'll take it myself. Jitendra, Kanchi, if you have any questions, or should we just open it to the crowd for questions?
I mean, my mind is working constantly, so I have a list of questions, but I think we should let it open for the audience.
Yeah.
So, guys, we're open to Q&A. If you have questions, you can start your chat with me, and you can put your questions down, or and keep your videos on, so I'll unmute you. There is Chaitanya. Chaitanya has been a part of our webinars, and he's a very exciting kid. He has claim to fame of writing scripts in 15 minutes. Chaitanya, I'm going to unmute you, and you can ask a question. Give me a minute to unmute you. Yes. Chaitanya, I've unmuted you. You want to ask a question?
Hi, Sharic. Hi.
Hi, Chaitanya. Tell me.
Hi. I actually had a series of questions, but
You'll have to be a little louder, Chaitanya. We can't hear you.
sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
So I had a series of questions. So as you said, the Bollywood industry is mostly star-driven,
Mm-hmm.
mostly, and it always the masala comes from having a song from here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So as you said that there have been remakes or taking old songs from old movies. So how do you have to go through the certifications, and all in all, how if a movie has an adult certification, for example, how do you tackle that as taking the director's creativity in mind? Like the movie doesn't get spoiled, and as well the audience experiences what they have to.
See, honestly, whenever you set out to make a movie, you kind of are aware that what your certification is going to end up being, at least now. Even though, okay, say for example, you get an adult certificate, but you want to end up getting a UA, before certification happens, you give your movie out to the censor board to view it. You have to give your rough edit, even if your movie is not fully complete. You need to give it to them a month and a half in advance. They reply back after 2 weeks, and they let you know that, okay, fine, if you have an adult movie and if you want it to be UA, then these are the cuts that you need to kind of make into the movie. If you want a UA, fine. If you have abuses, just completely mute them then in the movie. Don't have it like verbally come out. So certification kind of works in that. But usually whenever you set out to make a movie, you kind of know your tone of the movie, if it's going to be a UA or an adult movie. That's one. For songs and everything, when you need to make a remix, you need to kind of see who owns the rights in terms of the label. It can be mostly old songs are between Saregama and HMV and like your tips and all of that. So T-series. So you kind of have to pay a amount if you want to remix the whole song and everything. So that's how that works. And I'd said, see, the thing is like commercial movies have this song and everything. Everybody has their own style of filmmaking over here. There are people who want to work on big movies. That doesn't mean people don't have aspiration to do something on a smaller scale. Smaller scales also work. There is a whole circuit that is of within film festivals and appreciation and everything. You need to understand what your calling is and what you are more comfortable venturing into and what you all want to do better in that sense. That doesn't mean one is credible, the other one is not. It's what like rocks your boat and gets you going and what you feel more passionate about. So yeah, so any movie in that sense, like these are like this is like a universal thing.
So the next one, Sharic, I have is from Urusa. Urusa, you want to you want to ask your question? I've unmuted you. Urusa, are you with us? Okay, I'll ask the question on her behalf. She's asking us, is there a possibility of Starcast making changes in the scripts?
Yeah, so since everything is star driven, if you have a big actor and everything, they obviously have their inputs because they think they know their audiences better. They think they know their market much better. So there are times where they will ask for changes. There are times they will say that I will not do this particular thing. There are times they will say that I think this works better, but I'm leaving it in your like court, whatever works better for you. But this is my reservation and this is my feedback. Uh, so as I said, whatever you do, you need to do with confidence and how you kind of strike a balance with your actor in that way, where you kind of you have to manage egos on a movie. You need to manage people on a movie. That's your primary job also. That's very important. So however you kind of build a relationship with your actor that he feels confident enough to kind of, okay, take that leap of faith, even though he thinks strongly about something, is how you crack it. But yeah, people do ask for changes. People like to be more involved because they want to be on top of their game.
You know, the next one actually is a follow-up question which has come from Surat Shah.
Okay.
In instances like this, when there are conflicts of ideas or clashes of thoughts, how do
Mm-hmm.
you, I mean, how do you come to this resolution that this is what should now happen? It's actor, director, writer, producer. There's so many creative minds.
See, there are times where if the actor is not happy with what the director is doing and if he wants something changed, he'll just pick up the phone on the producer directly and tell him that I want this change, I want to do that, I want to do this. Then the producer will call the director and like tell him that, listen, you need to make these changes. What is the issue? If the producer thinks that you are right, like the director is right, he will speak to the actor, and then it's the producer's job to kind of make them understand. This is like worst case scenarios where it becomes like a like a love hate kind of a relationship where the hate kind of goes just to like an extreme level. This is when that happens, but otherwise, usually if your relationship is good while you're making the movie and everything, there are times the director might also think about the fact that, oh yeah, this actor is actually making sense. This will kind of, this will be like an item in the movie where the audiences will laugh. I don't mind if he does his own take and spin to this because this is what his forte is. So it's like that. It's basically a balance between like everything. It's got all to do with how you speak, what works in your favor, what doesn't work in your favor. All these things you can't account for. They're just things that happen.
And I think everybody is working towards one big end objective, which is making a good film which is successful at the end of the and appreciated by audience.
Yeah.
The next one I have is from Ravneet Singh. Ravneet is our student who's going to be joining us when we start school in July.
Sweet.
His question is, what would you look for, as a filmmaker, script, and how would you go about selecting a director?
Sorry, can you?
If you're a production house, what would you look for in a script, and what is the process of selecting a director for that script?
So, if the script is good, it's good. It kind of connects with whoever is the person who's reading it. They will hand it over to the producer. The producer likes the script, then the producer will decide who he wants to direct the movie. That's how it is.
But how come? How are the first time directors given a chance? For example, Raj Mehta for Good News. So how did he back that film?
So there was a person called. So there are people who are script doctors in Dharma who kind of are the people who you send out your scripts to and everything, and they read it after how much ever time they can because they have like a lot to read. If something clicks with them and they think that, okay, this might make for a fun movie, this might make for a fun movie at this particular time, we should invest into this, we should look into this, then he would give the movie to a Karan. Karan will whatever read it. He'll be like, yeah, we should make this movie. Then if he is looking at someone who needs to direct for the first time, he'll give them the movie because Raj got the movie also because he had another script that he had given prior which got approved, but it never got into casting stage because the casting didn't work out. So this script kind of was given to him and he was asked to direct it, and if he would want to, and he liked the thing and he put his own touch to it and everything, and it worked out as a star cast also.
So what I was trying to get at is some of your own work in the advertising section of Dharma. So you've been with Dharma 2.0 and you've worked with Puneet very closely on ads.
Yeah.
And I've seen in the past also a lot of people who were in the ads, who were making ads, directing ads, have then become directors. So we have Pradeep Sarkar and we have so many more. How does working on ads sort of work as a stepping stone to sort of getting into commercial space?
It doesn't work as a stepping stone. It's basically wherever you find your grounding first. Even if you get onto an ad film, like an ad film, so I did movies back to back between Student of the Year 1, Ek Mein Aur Ek Tu, Two States, Brothers. I did, and Ae Dil Hai Mushkil. I did these 5 movies and then I took a gap for a year and a half. During that time, I wanted a break from movies where I was like, I'm giving in too much time and effort into it. Like I'm giving like 2 years of my life, a year and a half of my life and everything. I want something that's kind of a little more stable, where I can have a personal life also, yet at the same time I have, like, I'm working on something and I have my income coming. I want to maybe get into the stage of writing now and seeing if I have something to it and all of that. So I took advertising, getting into advertising as just a means for me to survive monetarily, yet at the same time have time to myself. So more of maybe a luxury rather than anything else. But advertising is also challenging, because I've worked on about 60 advertisements till now. They are pretty challenging, because you're working with people who have big budgets also, because for a brand, they're going to come out with one campaign in a year. So they put all their amounts and their best money out there, because they want the best product out there on the TV or their prints, wherever, on Instagram, these videos that you make and they publish and blah, blah, blah. So they want the best for it. So it gets very challenging on an ad, because you're actually working with client, you're working with an agency in between who's written that script. You are just the production house that's kind of executing the movie for them, or maybe choosing the director also within the Dharma Bank when I was in 2.0. So that's very taxing, because they want everything their way at the end of the day, because they have a brand color, they have a brand mandate. You're making something for a food commercial, you need to kind of adhere to certain mandates, where you can't show this, you can't do things this way. When you're showing a water purifier in an ad and everything, you cannot say that it helps you grow bigger. That itself, the FDA will kind of ban your ad. So you need to take care of a lot of technicalities. It's also executing the shoot. When you do ads, there are always brand ambassadors kind of attached to them also. So yeah, so ads is a good way to know within a shorter span of time what ad making or filmmaking within that ad is. It's a good stepping stone. People shouldn't be adamant on maybe doing movies as the first thing that I would say. I would say do ads, because it's constant shift of smaller projects and smaller commitments, and you get more exposure to different kinds of things. I've done a car commercial, I've done a hair commercial, I've done a Chakki Atta commercial, I've done wheat waxing strip commercials, and so I've like done a lot of like different things to know how hectic and how difficult it is for like different scenes, different instances and stuff like that.
Cool. So last time when Jyoti was with us, we actually literally coaxed her into showing some part screenshots of the script that she had written. And my request come as a surprise, but I'm just wondering if you'd be open to do that. Any ad that you've been a part of,
Okay.
and if it's available on YouTube, can we show to our audiences? And maybe after that, you could just give a summarized experience of working on that ad.
Okay, 1 second. Let me just check. Okay, 1 second. I just need to.
You could maybe tell the name of the brand, and Imran will share the screen.
Okay, if y'all can wait literally for like 2 minutes, I need to go and take a massive piss because I've been drinking water throughout.
Yes, sure.
Until Sharic comes back, guys, if there are any more questions that y'all have, y'all can send them across, or start your videos and I can unmute you so that y'all can ask questions. Oh, you have a question, no? Yes. So let him come back. I've unmuted you. Have I? Yes, I've unmuted you. So the next question can be yours as soon as he comes out.
Yes. So I'll ask that when he comes back, right?
Yes. You can ask him directly. Anybody else apart from Chaitanya, because Chaitanya has a follow-up question. Anybody else who has questions? Swanik, Sriram, or Simar, or any one of y'all have questions? Sachin, you have a question to ask? Or
Pakshal just raised his hand. Apparently, Pakshal has a question. Pakshal, just type it now.
So Pakshal wants to connect with Sharic directly. Pakshal, I'll send you Sharic. So we'll connect you to Sharic's Instagram. That's the easiest and the fastest way to connect with him directly if you have to. And so So Kuhu, you're next when he comes back.
Talking about ad, right? One second.
Can I ask?
Yeah, sure. You can ask another question till then.
Okay. So my question was that what are the best things that someone can have on their CV, or generally what you suggest that someone should do to be noticed while initially entering the industry?
You're basically just write what all like what field are you trying to specialize in?
Sorry?
What field are you specializing in? Like what do you want to do eventually?
Animation. In animation.
So for animation, what you should do is basically jot down what are your strong points in animation, what you're quick at doing. That you should definitely put in strengths, put in all the softwares you're well versed with, your After Effects, your Photoshops, your Corels, whatever you're well versed with, and all the other stuff that you'll require for animation as well. Say whatever you've done, mention what your strong points are, so that itself immediately will click with whoever's reading your CV that okay, she's fast at this process of animation. You know, stuff like that. So that would be the first thing, and yeah, just basically keep it as short and as precise as possible as you want to, and that's about it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Good. Jitendra, do you have any more questions?
No, I'm just waiting eagerly for
Yeah.
him to shortlist an ad for us so that we can screen it, and then if he could summarize it, so it will add that whole sort of, we've seen some work with him, his own work with him.
Okay, I'm putting across the last ad I did, which is out a week back. So I'm just gonna put that only. So 1 second. Should I how?
So you can share your screen.
Okay, 1 second. Let me do that. Okay. Share screen. Oh, 1 second. Okay. Can you all see this?
Yes, you can see this.
Okay, so this is the last ad that I've done. Which is, yeah, okay, so I'm playing it. So, yes, that was the last ad.
Urusa has another question. Urusa,
So tell us about how you went about it, how did you conceive it? So
the script was given by an agency involved. So So we had the script, and then we had to assemble a whole crew together: DOP, production designer, XYZ. Brand ambassador was pre-decided Akshay Kumar. Yeah, we had to cast the maid, we had to cast the wife, we had to get a food specialist on set for all your shots of the rotary, like kind of following, and like your atta shots, and all of that. So we needed a food specialist, we needed a food designer for that also. uh, yeah, and then I mean we shot and that was the result. But it's a taxing process, because I mean you need to really like sit over there and like make 50 rotis. People are making 50 rotis because like one take after the other he's going on like tearing it, and then in the shot we need the roti to be like fully like full out, so we are like cutting the roti from underneath and we put cotton in it and we throw it that it looks like fluffed. So like yeah, I mean it's like a tedious process. But yeah, that's the last ad that like I did right before this thing
How
happened.
long? How long does it take you to make an ad? Like for this ad, how long would it take?
Like the shooting part of it.
Oh, the entire from when the agency contacted you and when you delivered.
So I barely get into the post-production process of ads. I am just hired to kind of put everything together and execute shoot. So for me, my commitment for these things are maximum a week and not more.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. But you're there on the set monitoring that everything's going
Yeah,
right.
yeah, I'm running set and making sure everything is happening. But yeah, my involvement is exactly a week. So basically, the director chooses. Okay, he wants a DOP. He tells the producer everything. Ad works like a little differently than films. So yeah. So everything is already decided, and then they get a first AD on board because he's been given everything, saying that this is what we need to make. Now just coordinate, assemble, get everything together.
And then you give it back to agents. Sorry, Kachi, go ahead, please.
So ads are usually 1 minute tops, right? So how many days do you actually shoot for it?
So this shoot happened, it took 12 hours in total from start to finish, from everyone arriving to everyone leaving. So in total, this ad took 12 hours to shoot, yeah.
One shoot. So are there ads that take more than a day to shoot?
Yeah, there's, I've done a geo campaign that we shot for like 6 days. So yeah, because it was spread out between like different cities. There was Missouri, there was Delhi, there was Bombay, there was like another city somewhere. So yeah, I mean it was like an extensive like ad. So there are ads that I've done which are for 2 days. There are ads which I've done for 1 day. There are ads which I've done for 5-6 days also. It all depends on how large the scale is and how like is it a montage ad? Is it like a brand ad just like with a star or something? So yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Cool.
Uruso, you have a question?
Yeah. When does cast and crew actually get paid, and does the amount affects because of the film's profits?
Sorry?
When does the cast and crew actually get paid, and does the profit of the film affects the amount?
No, it doesn't affect the amount. It depends who you're working with. When I work on a film-to-film basis or a project-to-project basis wherever I go, I have for ads I have a per day rate. For shoots, whenever I do a film, since it's a year and a half commitment, I have a monthly salary that I get. So while you're working through the movie, you get your monthly salary. For usual stuff like actors and crew members, daily wages worker, they submit. If you're shooting back to back for a week, then they finish a week, they submit their invoice of 7 days, they give it, then that gets, everything happens on the ball. For your main HODs and your actors, they have a structure payment where it'll be something like 10% of the amount on signing of the contract, 10% of the amount you get once the shooting is commences. Then you get 20% when you finish the first schedule of the movie. So it's broken down until then, and then like you get your last 50% after. I mean, your last like 10% or 20% that's balance is when you finish delivering your movie. And for an actor, the last installment, once the movie is released, you get your last installment, which is like a 10 or 20% usually of the whole amount.
Cool.
Excellent. This has been a great refresher for all of us. Kanchi, do you agree?
I do. Is it also true? We hear things about actors getting into profit sharing deals instead of they'll cut their payment, and if the movie does well, and
So everything is pre-decided. Everything is
Okay.
decided, the percentage, whatever. Uh, People take a percentage cut of the profit. If there is no profit, then they don't take. At times they don't want a fee also. They'll be like, we'll just eat into the profits of the movie.
okay.
So it all depends on how big you are, the equation you have with the producer, who agrees, who wants you more desperately, that they're willing to give you a profit share out of your profit. So it's all dependent on that. Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. I don't see any more questions, and I don't think from Jitendra's body language, I feel even he's done with his questions. I think my
No, I still have my mind full of questions, but I think we can't prolong this session.
Yes, I have a workout session at 6
No,
right
no,
now.
no.
yes. So Sharic, thank you so much for joining us on this webinar.
Thank you so much.
Most important takeaway from your session has been, the foundation. Because
Yeah.
no matter who you work with, what ladder you climb, what projects you're associated with, the foundation of going through a rigorous education and going through the fundamentals, having the foundation strong, really sets the pillar.
Yeah.
I think that's the key takeaway from me, and I think that's the underlying message for all the students who are here. That schooling, education, faculty, lectures, assignments, they're very, very, very important. And in fact, they're the most important to wherever you go in life.
Yeah.
Jitendra, you want to
Because along with building your professional portfolio, your resume, it's also building your professional sort of work ethics. So I mean, I would rate work ethics also as very, very important, and Sharik's kind of elaborated that. So for me, the takeaway is, along with everything that you do in school, out of school, work ethics is super important.
Yeah, the way you present yourself is very important, because nobody wants an oversmart person right at the beginning anyway.
Cool. Very grateful, Sharik. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys.
so much for joining us. Guys,
Yes.
the next webinar that we're hosting is I think
20th.
22nd.
20th. 20th, yeah.
Doing the next one on 20th. So tune in for that, and we'll keep you posted on the next ones coming up. Thank you, Sharik. Thank you.
Okay, take care. Bye, guys. See you.
Bye bye. Enjoy your
Guys, do you want to say a word of thanks, maybe like last time we did to Sharik? You could express your, like last time we did, we let the audience share their gratitude towards the speaker if they're open to.
out. So we'll wrap it.
Okay, no wonder, no problem.
Bye. See you.
Thank
See you.
Bye. Thank you. Bye, everybody.